So I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. I'm going to go ahead and go live right now on Short Track TV. And to get to that, for those of you on YouTube or on Facebook, youtube.com/Short Track TV. Short Track TV, all one word. We're live now on Short Track TV as well. So we've got a couple of systems broadcasting here, so it's working well. In 4 minutes, we will kick the show off, but I thought I'd just start a little bit earlier, kind of a pre-show, if we will. A friend of mine that's taught me a lot about live streaming, especially with the system we're using now. It's kind of fun watching his show. Back east, he does a pre-show, does the show, and then the post-show. And the pre-show and post-show, there's just a tremendous amount of conversation. It's actually, when I watch his shows, those are some of the most fun for me. So let's get a few other things fired up here. Got about 10 things I'm running here. So what you'll see tonight is, let's see, 5:57. I've got 3 minutes according to the ticker there. Let's see who else is out there. See if I can even keep up with. See, that's the bad thing about Facebook Live. I have to keep scrolling down on that side. Marty Baker, what's up? Doug Jeffers. It's the officials race going to be on MAVTV. It's a good idea, Doug. It'll definitely be on Short Track TV Live. We're talking about flying a drone right behind them. We've got Zach, our on-the-move cameraman. That guy's as good as anyone. He could probably run about 16 laps compared to the one lap that I think our officials will struggle to make. Stephen Blakesley, Sweet 16. Is that for you, Stephen? Or I assume that's Brody Armtrout, Kersey, and that gang. Hello, Rick Erickson. Like I said, if you guys, it's going to be hard for me to keep up with the Facebook side on the comments, but certainly Stephen had a great comment last week. I missed it. It was probably the best one for Robbie Keneally, and we're actually going to do a follow-up. 2 minutes to go here. A follow-up section that we do a lot for these interviews with our big cameras and some fancy gear on how iRacing played into Robbie Keneally's his success right now. So 2 minutes before we roll the show here. Let's see. The hard thing, I wish Facebook on the live portion would just automatically populate, move up, as YouTube does. So you guys can hang out. We'll stay live the entire time here on Facebook, but Short Track TV, where you'll find the comments. Again, I'll try and monitor both of them. We've got about a minute 30 seconds. And pretty much the layout of the show, I'll go over it, but it's news and upcoming events. Driver behind the wheel driver profile that we film for MAVTV, fan Q&A where you get to ask the driver questions, or any questions actually, and then we do track tips and tricks. So we've got 1 minute. I better get myself moving here. I'm on my own tonight. Matt was off at, let's go right there. Matt was off at 5 o'clock, so it'll be time to roll the show, and I've got all the controls and get to play with all this gear myself tonight, so it'll be a lot of fun. Real quick, Brittany Fuller. Hello, Kenny. Hello, Brittany. Let's get over here. I've got 4 monitors going tonight. Hooked to this. Shannon Erickson. Hello, Shannon. Jeffrey Erickson, 2 weeks. We want to book Jeffrey. He'll be coming up in 2 weeks. A little bit less than a minute. We'll get rolling with the show. So Jeffrey Erickson, next week we'll talk about it. Jaden Walbridge next week. Brad McDonald. What's up, Brad? How about that finish at Portland ARCA race? I'll talk about it a little bit. How about the finish and the run from our 3 kids that were in that ARCA race, our 3 graduates from the 5150 Junior Late Model Series. All right, let me get over on this side, get ready to roll when the clock ticks. I will hush up and I'll get the video playing here. But stay with us on both sides. We'll Eric Nascimento Jr. Good job, Eric. We're very proud of you guys for doing what you're doing. All right, it's time to roll the show. Welcome to the Inside Draft. Everyone, let me get that audio back on. Real quick, I want to say hi to everyone on Facebook. What we're doing here tonight, the show is all about short track TV, so I'll try and monitor both sides. And what our show, Inside Draft, is really all about is it's the place where the fans can get the inside scoop on the race teams and the drivers. And it's a place where the drivers and the race teams can get that inside line towards the front of the pack on things like tech tips, exposure for the drivers, sponsorship seminars we have coming up that we're going to host here, and a bunch more. Speaking of exposure for the drivers, tonight we have Brody Armtrout that will be on the show. Last week, Robbie Keneally was on the show. And what we do is, as we're filming our behind-the-wheel driver profile segment for MAVTV that you'll see at the halftime point, we just decided we're already doing all this work. Why don't we go ahead and film it or broadcast it live for all the fans. Let me move that chair a little bit. Broadcast it live for all of our fans to see. We've been doing this all summer long. Actually, since COVID hit, we started doing call-in interviews. So we've got all this technology here, and we thought, why not? Let's go ahead and do it live. So very quickly, before we get rolling here, David Munoz, hello. Johnny Muscule, hello. Eric Nascimento, proud of you again. Portland, that was amazing. I'll talk about it here a little bit about our kids. Shannon Erickson, hello. Brittany, Stephen Blakesley, Brad McDonald, Kersey Young, excited for this weekend's race. Happy birthday to our guest tonight, Blake Bryan. Hello for him, or from him too. So again, if you want to comment, go ahead and comment on Facebook. I will try my best to, at the end of the show, to jump over there. And certainly on our Short Track TV is where we'll take most of the questions. And so here's the layout of the show. Again, what we're doing, we've been filming the driver profiles. If you've watched MAVTV, you see driver profiles at the halftime break on the juniors. We're now adding those driver profiles on the pros as well as the juniors. So we want fans all over the nation to get to know our drivers and not just the driver behind the helmet, kind of who's behind the wheel. So the layout of the show, what we're doing here now with the Inside Draft is news and upcoming events we start the show with, and the behind-the-wheel driver profile. Brody Armtrout will join us here about 6:10, somewhere along there, 6:10, 6:15. And then about 6:35, 6:40, when we're finished up with the interview, all the questions I have for him, it'll be the fan segment. So the fans get to ask Brody questions or myself. So certainly if you've got questions for him, jump on in. And then we finish the show with the tips and tricks from our track tips and tricks. And what that section's all about, tonight we're talking about how to properly mount seat belts. So we had one of the car manufacturers send us a diagram and wanted us to go over a few things where they see a lot of mistakes. Upcoming this winter, I'm doing a 6-week series on how to get a sponsor. So it doesn't matter where you're at. Great little dirt track in the Midwest or a West Coast pavement track, dirt track, East Coast track, road racing, whatever. If you're looking for a sponsor, I'm going to do this free seminar, so jump on in, and that'll be part of this winter, the Inside Draft coming up. So again, we're already doing these segments. We thought, why not just join in and or have you folks join in and let you enjoy what we're doing. So time to hit a little bit of news. I saw Eric Nascimento Jr. over here on the Facebook side. Very, very proud of Eric, Jesse Love, and Joey East this past weekend up at Portland. These kids that we get to work with in the 5150 Junior Late Model Series are absolutely amazing, the best of the best talent, and they prove it when they go off to the next levels. They go to the touring levels. They're absolutely the top drivers wherever they go. We've said it quite a bit. We're extremely proud of the kids that have gone up the pipeline. Certainly Cole Custer was the first youngster. He did not race in the 5150 Junior Late Model Series, but he was the first youngster that raced against our pro drivers way, way back, 2013, 2012 in that zip code, and gave us a lot of confidence to develop the 5150 Junior Late Model Series. That developed into a bunch of kids going up the pipeline, from Ryan Vargas, Haley Deegan, of course, Jesse Love, Joey East. Eric Nascimento right now is Eric Nascimento Jr., just impressing the heck out of everyone. Quite an effort. So very proud of all of those drivers that go up. Another bit of news I want to touch on, Bandoleros and Mini Cup, something very important to us. We have a lot of kids coming out of quarter midgets, and I get a lot of questions and take a lot of calls, spend a lot of time on the telephone with parents. And we're starting a new process. We had planned on next year dropping the Mini Cup cars and going INX Bandoleros only. It's a more readily available car. It's a little bit bigger in the cockpit, a little bit much more durable, it seems to us. We also have the ability, we're starting with restrictor plates this weekend to slow those cars down so they're in a zone where we feel a little bit more comfortable with them. And it's a wonderful car for training for the Madera Speedway to transition from the quarter midget track to the big track and some of the small go-kart tracks. So we will begin those efforts this weekend, putting a lot of effort into the INX Bandolero program. The Mini Cups will, their last race was the last race at the Madera Speedway. They're now finished at the Madera Speedway. Sam Wedehays, congratulations. He's our champion, our Mini Cup champion. Sam will be out this weekend helping us, as will Eli, his brother, and so will Cicely, Audra's little girl, will be out. Something else I'll talk about here in just a minute. But before I get to that, some very sad news. Steve Belotto, we all heard the news. Steve passed away. Shocked all of us. Just spoke with him, as so many of you guys did, just a little over, it was June, West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, when Harry Belotto was being inducted into the hall, and just around the family, and just shocking. What a wonderful family. Steve was such a kind, gentle gentleman, great dad, just an absolute wonderful person. So our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Belotto family. Absolutely heartbreaking to get that news, and again, our thoughts and prayers are with the family. We're so sorry. Shifting gears a little bit, upcoming events. This weekend we have the Round 8 of the 5150 Junior Late Model Series, as well as Round 8 of the Nut Up Pro Late Model Series, both heated, really heavily contested championships. We also have another round of the what would normally be the Mini Cups versus the Bandos. It's the first time the Bandos will be exclusive by themselves. They'll be the filler in, but we have a one-lap foot race as well. So before that, let's go over the Nut Up Pro Late Model points. Let's start there. Again, it's a heck of a battle right now. You've got Jaden Walbridge that's leading the Nut Up Pro Late Model Championship over Matt Erickson and Tyler Herzog. They're tied for second. Kyle Keller still within striking distance, and Jason Gary actually in striking distance as well, all the way out to fifth. So really a tough competition right there. And as Stephen Blakesley talks so much about, this round 8, is pivotal, and we've seen a lot of the point leaders make championships, or make mistakes for the championship, as I talked about last week. So we'll be looking for see if the point leaders can remain clean, or how much pressure will be on the point leaders. 43 different Nut Up Pro Late Model drivers have competed at the Madera Speedway. We have quite the list. We're getting ready to roll out for the October 2nd race, so that will probably go north of 50. The 5150 Junior Late Model Series points. Jacob Smith, 355 points, but a closing Brody Armtrout, 342, and he has a hot hand right now. Barrett Polhemus, 329. Ethan Nascimento, 321. All the top four there still within striking distance. Same thing, can Brody Armtrout, Ethan, and Barrett run down the point leader Jacob Smith, or will Jacob Smith hold on? He had a rough race in round 7, so I'm really interested to see what takes place in round 8 with both point leaders. There's a lot of pressure on them at this point. Let's go over a few stats real quick. Hello, Brody. Wave at me if you can hear me there. All right, Brody just jumped in with us. I think he was out working or something. He looks like or working out maybe. We'll be with you in just a second. He's smiling there. So let's go over a couple of stats here real quick. Stephen Blakesley puts out some great information here. He's like our encyclopedia. So 2021 Nut Up Pro Late Model lap leaders, really interesting. Jaden Walbridge leads the lap count with 211 in the Nut Up Pro Late Model Series. Jason Aguirre with 82 laps led. Eric Nascimento Jr. with 65 laps led. Seth Wise, 53. Carlos Vieira, 45. Matt Erickson, 33 laps led. Tyler Herzog, 30 laps led. Austin Herzog, 27 laps led, pardon me. Rayson Vernon, 20 laps led. And then Trevor Huddleston with 8 laps led. Let me get a drink here real quick. And then let's jump over to the lap leaders, junior late model lap leaders. Who would you think would be the top lap leader? Brody, that we're going to talk to, is just setting the world on fire. And when you first think about it, you think, heck, he's won the most races. He had to lead the most laps. Not the case. Jacob Smith, 196 laps led to Brody Armtrout's 123. Then we have Barrett Polhemus with 73 laps led. Cale McClinney, 39 laps led. Cody Kimley, 26 laps led. Ethan Nascimento, 21. And Holly Clark, 12 laps led. A lot of different race winners in here. A lot of different great information that Stephen puts out. One thing that I found really interesting is the fact that Jaden Walbridge is 16 points up on Matt Erickson and on Tyler Herzog. But Matt Erickson in particular hasn't earned any of the bonus points in the qualifying realm, so he's lost 14 points there, so it could be virtually a tie. Jaden's qualifying efforts have been really strong. Matt's hasn't been, so that's kind of the difference in that championship right now. So that's let's jump ahead real quick to a little bit of upcoming news, and we'll pull Brody in here. So the next races up right now are the Children's Hospital race this Saturday, September 18th. It's our last of our August 21st to September 18th. A portion of all tickets go to Children's Hospital. In fact, let me pop this down, and I'll pop a little banner up here real quick. So it ends up being $10 of every ticket, $5 from the Speedway, and then $5 from Nut Up goes to Children's Hospital. It's a very important fundraiser for us. I'm just reading a comment here about the Harvest Classic. Sorry, I should pay attention here a little better. If you order from nutup.com and put in the code MAVTV20, they will donate 20% of that order to Children's Hospital. And again, $5 from the Speedway for every ticket sold, and then NutUp will match us with $5, so $10. So it'll be a very nice check that's going to Children's Hospital coming up on September the 18th. Steve Gonzalez, the reason I was looking over here, he said, can you give us an update on the Harvest Classic? I will certainly do that. In fact, that's about one line away. We're pretty excited about it. But before that, there's another element in this weekend's race. I mentioned a foot race. I'm going to play a quick little spot for you, and it's kind of fun. The officials got in trouble, so we're going to have a one-lap foot race for the officials. So that ought to be fun, and we're going to raise some money for the officials. The way we'll do this, 50-50 raffle. You buy tickets. I was trying to say ticket and raffle, I guess raffle. So there's a 50-50 raffle. We'll have one bucket with Frank's name on it, one bucket with CK, one with Michael, and then we'll also have one with Anthony. And when you buy a raffle, you throw it in one of those buckets. They'll do a one-lap foot race, we'll call it. It's probably going to be a high-speed walk or maybe even a fall at the finish line. And the winner of that will draw from that bucket for the 50-50 raffle. The fan will get half the money. The other half will go to Children's Hospital. So let's watch this real quick. It's kind of something fun Matt put together here at the studio to kind of make fun of the guys or have some fun with them. They're really going to enjoy doing this, and they've been great sports about it. So we will have a lot of fun with that and try and raise as much money as we possibly can. We've got one of the guys flying a drone that'll be with them live on Short Track TV. And then, of course, Zach, our super cameraman, will have his remote camera that he flies around right in the middle of the race accidents or whatever. He'll be following that group of four, looking for an accident perhaps. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. Harvest Classic is the next week, so September 18th. September 25th is a Harvest Classic. We've actually got a handful of, like, 3 supers coming down from the Oregon area, handful of other cars, so some wing sprints and super modifieds. Just on the phone today with a couple of guys with the super. And so we'll have some fun there. The Kenny Takeuchi tribute, Donnie Large, it'll be a Kenny Takeuchi tribute night with a Donnie Large tribute race, the wing sprints versus supers there. So look for more information on that. And then the Triple Turkey Open, Bradley Erickson will hopefully defend that title or attempt to defend that title. He's the first junior to win in the pros, especially on the first start right out of the gate. and he won that big race last year against a lot of competition, 31 cars last year. And we have some special announcements. I was on a conference call, video conference with Mission Foods and with a soft drink company earlier today. Spent about an hour and a half with them about some enhanced sponsorship and some fun things we're going to do for that race. So look forward to that. Right now it's about time to bring Brody Armtrout in. And what we're doing, it's the behind the wheel driver profile. Let me pull something up here that we produce for MAVTV. So it's a segment that we actually do that if you've watched the MAVTV show, it's about 2.5 minutes long, and it's right before we go to the halftime break. We'll pick a driver out and feature that driver so the fans across the country get to know them more. We've been doing these interviews since COVID via studio style and having folks call in like we have Brody tonight calling in. So we thought a few weeks ago, why not just broadcast it live, let you guys watch while we're doing this. And what you'll see from Brody Armtrout tonight, about a 25-30 minute interview, we'll make this 2.5 minute piece. My guys will edit my voice out of it. It just becomes what they put together, or Brody's voice will be the voiceover with a lot of pictures and video and other things we put together. So what I want to do right now, we did this with Barrett Polhemus a couple of weeks ago, right before we started going live. I want to show you the piece, the edited piece, the finished version of that. So this is what Brody's will look like when we're all finished tonight.
Driver profile.
How I first got interested in racing, it was when the movie Cars first came out. It must have been like 1 or 2. After that, I was hooked. I'm a first generation racer, and the first time I ever hopped in a real race car was when I was 10. Most of the kids I'm driving against now, they've all been racing since they were 5. I first started racing in quarter midgets. The only thing I really remember from my first race was flipping during the main race. My mom was about ready to pull me out right then and there and never do it again, but luckily the car was fine and we continued on, and I actually ended up getting third that race. I've really only raced 3 cars, and that's quarter midgets, micro sprints, and now junior late models. So micros have helped a lot with the late model and the sense of car control. I really picked up the late model right away. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm learning on the fly as well. That first race, I was really surprised how it went. We were running second before I missed a shift on a restart before the halfway break, and I ended up finishing 5th.
Not a great start for the 79 of Polhemus, and we're underway.
But after that, Cale McClenny and Cody Camille got together in front of me, and I remember taking advantage of that and just diving back down underneath both of them, and ended up being too wide with Cale for a while. And that's really how it was the rest of the race. He just had such good traction off the corners. I couldn't keep up with him there.
Side by side, who's it going to be? Can Polhemus get the run on the top? It's going to be awfully close. Wow!
During this season, I would really hope to get the championship done. You never know what could happen. We still got a lot of racing left to do.
I almost had him right there again, but it's fine as long as we're consistent. Consistency wins championships.
I really feel like NASCAR is the most realistic option for me. I've started really getting into Formula One and started to love that sport as well. I feel like I would enjoy myself more in Formula One than I would in NASCAR, but you know, that it would take its own set of monumental challenges. You know, the crew members and crew chiefs like Charlie Wilson and Buddy Shepard and all the guys on my team on the asphalt side and on dirt, Steve and Justine Hamblin have been amazing for me, as well as the Carter family. They've helped me work wonders, and I can't be any more thankful for them.
Well, with that said, welcome, Brody. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just fine.
So it's your turn behind the wheel or in the hot seat here. Second week we had a driver on live last week. It was Robbie Keneally that we had on. So we appreciate you taking the time to spend a little time with us and answer a few questions, and so we can put this program together for you, similar to what you just saw. That'll take place on MAVTV, so we'll let the fans jump in and ask some questions here in a little bit as well. As we get rolling with this, fans, you guys are out there, make sure you give us a like on our YouTube channel or even Facebook. Try and help us light this thing up. Share it a little bit. Let's get Brody as much attention as we possibly can. So, Brody, let's get started here. Are you ready to go?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. I like to start with some fun stuff first. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food would either have to be any type of burrito or Spanish food in general.
How about the least favorite food?
Ooh, meatloaf. I can't stand it. For some reason, just a combination of bread and meat, just doesn't work with me.
Now, do you have a workout program right now? Have you started a physical fitness program, or what do you do to stay in shape?
So currently, I have weight training class in high school. That's helping out a lot. And I also took a course not too long ago. A guy that's local that helped Alexander Rossi. I took his course for about 6, 7 months as well. So we're definitely looking for different type of workouts to help with heat training and stuff like that.
Speaking of Rossi, you're from the same hometown. What is tell people what your hometown is and what it's most famous for?
So my hometown is Grass Valley, and its most famous thing would probably be the people that come out of it. We have Kyle Larson, Alexander Rossi, Matt Benedetto. Sorry if I butchered that last name, but we have some big time racers that are from my area.
Yeah, to say the least. I don't know what you guys put in the water or in the grass or whatever up there, but it is that place really produces some big time drivers from out here on the West Coast. It's actually amazing. You look at the top 3 divisions in NASCAR. You know how much talent comes from the West Coast and has for quite some time. So, to me, it's really amazing. So, all right, let's have a little more fun. What's your favorite music?
Favorite music? Ooh, I'd have to go with either country or rap because they have a flow that I can just get into and zone out and do some homework or workout.
So country rap would be good. My daughter listens to that all the time. She kind of has me into it now. So do you have a favorite song? Or something when you're working out or something, getting after it, thinking racing, you have a favorite song?
Um, I'd say more on the motivational side. I don't have a per se favorite just because there's like such a wide variety, and I've only heard probably one millionth of what's out there. But if I had to choose, it would probably be, let's see. I don't really know that. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Okay, what's your least favorite music? Do you have a least favorite or something, some
Ooh,
type of music you just don't like listening to?
I'd have to say K-pop.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just, yeah.
What's your best subject in school?
Best subject would have to be math or science.
What is your worst subject or your most disliked subject?
That would have to be, at my school we have this weird time. It's called flex period. We just work on previous homework assignments that were assigned to us, and it's a lot of dead space, so I kind of get distracted, and it's definitely a challenge to stay on task. But yep,
Are you more of a morning person or a late day person, evening person?
I'd say morning person. I have a better time getting out of bed and getting going in the morning than trying to go to bed.
Okay. What would you say your best subject or the subject in school that helps you the most, that you apply most to your racing? So what subject helps you the most with your racing?
I'd say either auto shop or weight training because we have weight training for like heat, getting used to the heat, getting stronger. And then on auto, I have learning about the car and how certain things affect cars.
Okay, so a lot of people out here on the message boards are wishing you a happy birthday. So why don't you tell the fans how old you are today, if you would?
Today, I'm turning 16 years old later towards the night.
So when would you get your driver's license?
February. Due to COVID, DMV was shut down for about 5 months in the permit part, so we had to wait.
I always find it really interesting when our kids, it's something else when you work with young drivers from 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age, and then I'm watching things on Facebook when you guys go and you finally get your driver's license, and I would like to be in the back seat of that car watching the instructor, or if they only knew what you guys actually did, I think we'd get a kick out of that. I laugh every time when I see that, when our kids that can drive the wheels off a car probably outdrive most any driving instructor around, and it's kind of unique. So congratulations on your 16th birthday. Certainly, so many of us, the older guys, I was on the phone with Ron Hornaday a couple days ago, a good friend of mine. We're chatting a lot, and I'm helping him with Landon Lewis on a couple of projects. And we were talking, and I think, man, if we had the programs and the exposure that the kids have today, and that's part of why the kids are doing so well, but it's just amazing what you guys get to do and what you've done in your driving prior to the age of 16. It's incredible. Most of us, it took us to 30 to get to that level of experience. So good job with that. Now let's shift gears. Speaking of that, how did you get interested in racing?
So Marv Thorson, Tanner Thorson's dad, he used to go from Nevada, drive down here, and he used to park his motorhome at our friend's shop, Blaine Myers. And we just watched them and saw how they did everything and what really motivated them. And we decided to get a kart, and we built a track at their shop. And I've been practicing ever since I was 3, and then we got into outlaw karts.
So someone here, I'm going to improvise a question, and this question will probably make it all the way to the MAVTV show. Who's your biggest role model in racing?
My biggest role model would be Kyle Larson, due to how he was so competitive. And I've seen him go from Cycleland, Red Bluff, all these local tracks that are pretty close to me. And I've seen him go up through the food chain of racing and make it to NASCAR.
Are you, tell the fans, are you a first-generation driver, second-generation, third-generation? Did your dad or grandparents race?
So I'm a first-generation 4 tire driver. My dad used to race on dirt bikes throughout his years, and then my uncle got into dirt bike racing as well. So of course my mom, I don't want to give her gray hairs, so she decided that we should go with 4 wheels instead of 2 because it's a little safer.
It's unique that you say that. First of all, the 4-wheel first generation. I love the way you said that. Made me laugh. Secondly, a part we did, we just shot the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame for MAVTV that aired last month on MAVTV. And some of the interviews we get to do are pretty incredible. And Rick Mears talked about his racing career and how he ended up on 4 wheels. Was they talked their mother, and it was safer than the 2 wheels. So kind of the same thing as Rick Mears you talk about there. So what type of cars, you say 4 wheels, tell the fans, what type of cars did you first drive?
So I started in outlaw karts. So there's these little go-karts that have 50cc engines. We started in those until I was about 6, 7. Then we moved up to box stock, which is 60, anywhere from 60 to 70 cc's. And then I went to 250s, which are bigger go-karts that have a 250 dirt bike engine in them. And then I went to micro sprints, same as Barrett, and I'm here now.
So do you remember much about your, first of all, how old were you, and what do you remember about the first race you ever competed in?
My first race is at Cycling Speedway. I was either 5 or 6, I'm not too sure because it's been a while. And all I can remember of the race was how intense it was and the feeling and adrenaline rush that you get off the line. Like as soon as that green flag drops, your heart drops and you're like, okay, here we are, we're going. So it definitely took me a while to get into the groove, but as soon as I did, I've always kept a passion for the sport.
Do you remember the first couple of races, how you finished, how you ran? Were you pretty timid? Were you really aggressive? What do you remember about those first couple of races out?
So my first few races that I've ever raced, I was kind of in the middle. I wasn't too aggressive, but I was also kind of timid. So I was kind of right in the center line where I was just getting started. So I kind of had a grasp of what I needed to do, but I wasn't fully there. So I was definitely watching the older people in the class show me the ropes.
Talking about older people at your youngest level, was there a lot of information, a lot of help? Were the older drivers very giving with their information, or were they very secretive? Was there a lot of help available for you to kind of shorten the learning curve when you were younger?
So with dirt and asphalt, there's very 2 different sides. With dirt, as soon as you become kind of close friends with someone, they completely love you. Like they'll tell you their deepest, darkest secrets of how to get faster. So there definitely was a lot of help, and it was just a great time to be on dirt. And it was definitely huge for learning. They told us lines, where to go, control, all these important elements that went into winning a race.
So on pavement, you mentioned it's a little bit different. How is pavement more secretive? People hold their secrets in as far as the pavement side from your experience?
I wouldn't say they're more secretive. It's just it's kind of harder to explain certain aspects of asphalt racing. Like lines are a little bit different than dirt. Like with a dirt racetrack, there's a berm, and you would typically want to be against the berm. But with asphalt, it's a very smooth pavement, so it's kind of harder to explain where to go, and it's definitely more tricky.
Do you think the setups are more important in dirt or in pavement, as far as the chassis
Definitely
setups?
pavement.
Okay.
Oh, chassis setups, yeah. Pavement for sure, because in dirt you can throw a setup on it and it'll go, but with asphalt, the slightest misadjustment can make it way too tight or way too loose.
From my racing days, I started on dirt as well and then moved to pavement. And I always felt like on dirt, if the car was a little bit off, I could make up the difference driving, finding a line. If the engine was a little off, I could, you could improvise for the most part. And the driver played a much, much bigger role. And a lot of what we did with the program you race in right now with that 602 engine and that tire, especially that 970 tire, it's got a lot of slip angle in it. It doesn't hook up as much. A lot of that actually came from my dirt track experience, trying to neutralize the playing field for talented drivers so they can compete with other drivers. So you'd mentioned the micro scene and running micros. To me, I do a lot of scouting where I'm going to different racetracks and different places looking at young up-and-coming drivers. The kids are coming behind you guys. And I'm really impressed with that micro sprint scene. It's really healthy. The population, the amount of talent is enormous there. So tell me about that micro scene and then what it did for your driving career.
Oh man, it's done a lot. Starting out, it was just get on the track, practice, but there's certain little tips and tricks that can make you ahead of the entire field or slightly behind. So it was very intricate with throttle control, your steering wheel, and where your angle is going through the corners. Getting to drift is definitely a challenge, and so all those different things and aspects and tiny little tricks to help straighten out your car and get it to where you need to be has definitely helped, because on asphalt, like I said earlier, it's a whole different ball game of setups, and setups are a little bit harsh. So if you make a slight mistake, it's definitely going to cost you. So being able to figure out what's wrong with your car and adjust yourself to make the car run better is definitely a huge help.
Do you like winged or non-winged better? What's your favorite as far as the micros or any sprint car type racing?
So for me, it was winged just because of the safety aspect of everything. Opened wing or wingless cars have no halo, which is right above your head. It's a cage that kind of covers your head. And with wingless, you don't have that, so your head's kind of exposed. So I went with winged because we have more traction and it's a lot safer as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's shift gears and tell me about your family, if you would. The support system around you. It seems like you've got a very strong family behind you. Tell me about your family, if you would.
Yeah, currently I can hear them watching the interview. They're all hyped up about it. I have a great family behind me. They're always supportive, and every time I'm down because we have a bad night, they're always there to help and make the mood better. And they're just all around amazing people.
Dean Gray, I'm going to jump in, throw an outside question. And Dean Gray wants to know if you still run any dirt races, or are you just pavement only right now?
So currently I'm not doing any dirt races. With our series that we're doing in the 5150 Junior Late Model, we're trying to stick to that only because we just want to get our name out there so we can collect more sponsors and hopefully have a bigger future and inevitably go to NASCAR.
Do you think if you ran dirt and pavement, is that a distraction to you? It's two different disciplines, the styles? Because I've heard conflicting thoughts on that. If you race everything and anything all the time you can, go hammer down, that's good for you. But you can pick up bad habits or things that don't transfer over real well. So do you see that as an issue? Some of the drivers that run, say, micros and run pavement anywhere in the country, is that a little bit of a challenge?
It's definitely a challenge, but I feel it's food for thought. You can be anywhere on that side. I'm personally kind of in the middle. It definitely does have its downsides. You're going into the corner trying to drift on asphalt, but it's definitely a good experience, and it can help you in the long run. It's really useful.
So I know you mentioned this, take me back through the series you raced, the different types of cars. So start at the very beginning, and I want to make sure we have this for the MAVTV interview very clearly. Take me through each type of car that you ran, just a little bit about it, and then the progression up to where you're at right now, if you would.
So I raced, to start out, I raced in beginner box stock, which is about 50cc engines. I raced in there for about 2 years just to get the feel of dirt. And then I moved up the ranks through dirt cars, starting with box stock, 250s, OI, 500s. Then I moved to micro sprints, and I raced micro sprint pros for a little bit, and now I'm in the 5150 junior late models.
Okay, of those divisions, which division prior to the junior late models do you think prepared you the most for the experience you're having now in the junior late models?
So I would say sprint cars or micro sprints, but I'd say the 250 class, because there's a lot of competition in there, and it's really competitive. So you have to kind of watch all your angles, make sure no one's sliding in front of you, hitting you, and it's really useful for your awareness.
And I would have to agree. Watching as many of the kids that I watch, the 250s are really impressive. And you're also at that transitional point, I think, too, age-wise, where you're starting to move up. Tell me, kind of a different question, but what do you struggle the most with your racing?
Man, that's a really good question. It would definitely be setting up the car and figuring out what the car is doing, because in dirt, it's very obvious that something's happening, but with asphalt, it's a little bit more hidden, and you kind of have to dig to try to find the problem. So it would be setting up the car and finding the best line to run.
So that would be your biggest struggle, setting up the car and finding the best lines around. So tell me about your crew chief, Roger Bracken. I've known Roger a long time. He's had tremendous success. How much has Roger helped you with those struggles and that element, those things that you struggle with in your pavement racing?
Roger Bracken has basically built me from the ground up. I went through a few crew chiefs, and Roger stuck. He was always there, always ready to go, wanted to be at the racetrack early and prepared. He's very organized, and he just wants to see me succeed and do better as a person.
Yeah, and I would endorse Roger to the mountain. I mean, he's incredible with what he's done. Every race car he touches seems to win, and he has a really good approach to going racing. So tell me a little bit about Roger's approach. Say he's up early, he's ready ahead of time. How is his approach, and how important it is? And is he teaching you about how you go racing, not just what you do once you get to the racetrack, but the preparation and how you go racing?
He's very organized, like I said earlier, and he's just set on what the day is going to look like. We always have a plan. We always wake up and get breakfast from him in the morning. As soon as we get to the racetrack, we get everything set up so we can just hang out, talk about what we're going to do for the day. We'll go out for our first run, we do small adjustments, and then the day just goes from there.
So what is your favorite thing, absolute favorite thing about racing, whether it's been any of your years of racing up to right now? What's your favorite thing about racing? What do you enjoy the most?
I would have to say people in general, because you get to meet a lot of awesome people, and you never know who you're going to come across, and it's a really unique experience as well as the competition.
It's interesting you say that, because the thing I miss the most about my driving days is the people. You'd think it'd be the fast cars and the adrenaline, and I know people, you probably get the same thing. People think we're kind of crazy or you're some adrenaline junkie out there running around, but it's actually not as wild in the cars. It's very methodical. And more than the cars, I always say the sport's more about the people than it is the fast, flashy cars. So that's a interesting comment there. shifting gears a little bit more, let's go a little more high speed as to where you want to go in the future. But you've had so much success as of late. I think it was 2.5 years that it took you to get to the point with a victory in the Junior Late Model Series. And it's one of those things where winning just creates more winning. What does it mean to you to win on television and have to fight and struggle that much over 2.5 years and finally get that first victory? And now all of a sudden, holy cow, the door's wide open and you're just winning like crazy. So what's it mean to you to win at the level you're winning at? And what's the TV show to win on TV? What's that mean to you?
It means the world. You get to meet a lot of cool people. A lot of cool people get to see your progression throughout the years. I still remember when I was on my first race on pavement and I was struggling just trying to figure out where to go, who to follow, who to get pointers from. And just to be where I am now is a huge blessing, and it shows that trying your hardest and not giving up, even though you might not be doing the best, pays off.
And I can certainly see the sincerity in your interviews and what you're doing there at the track. And so with that, let's roll forward. What's your goals for the balance? What's your goals for 2021? What were they coming into the season? What are they now in the position you're in?
So my beginning goals of the year were to get faster and keep up with the pace, because towards the beginning of the year, I had slower qualifying times than the rest of the field. And I was just motivated to go faster and try my hardest to keep up with everyone. And, of course, improve my placement in the mains. And currently my one goal is to stay consistent and try my hardest to be okay with change if a car setup isn't where we need it to be, because it'll come around to us. We just got to wait.
What has been your biggest challenges for 2021?
2021 has been an interesting year for all of us, and I think definitely with all the crazy Zoom meetings and everything going on, it's really hard to try to find time to balance racing, family, school, and every day-to-day life.
And I think all of us would absolutely agree with that. Now, tell me a little bit, the last couple of races you've jumped up into the Nut Up Pro Late Model Series. Tell me about that experience and how the Nut Up Pro Late Model Series differs from the pace set and the 5150 Junior Late Model Series.
So the pace set in Junior Late Models is very intense, because we all have basically maybe just like a tiny bit off, but we are the exact same engines. And it's very hard to get ahead of everyone when you don't have very good torque on your car. And in the pros, you kind of have more room to make errors because you have enough horsepower to combat your errors. And just being around all those people like Matt Erickson, the most winningest driver, it's really cool to learn from them and see how they approach things and how to assess certain situations.
How does the intensity level between the two divisions, how does that differ? Because what I've heard, whether it was Jesse Love or Joe East or the other kids would go up into the pros, they were always very successful, just like you've been very good there in the pros already. But the one thing I hear is the intensity level. I guess what they're communicating is you've got 8 or 9 or 10 drivers that are really, really tough versus 4 or 5, something in that range. So explain that to me when they tell me the intensity level is a little bit different. What do they mean?
So what they mean by intensity level is in juniors, there's no high groove. In pros, there's a high groove. So you're really compact with cars. It's kind of like being downtown in traffic, and you're just kind of stuck where you are until something opens up. So it's very nerve-wracking because you can have a wreck in front of you that you can't prevent and you get stuck in it, or something can go wrong. So your heart's kind of racing thinking, I have all these cars around me. What's the best thing? What should I do? And it's just, it's definitely intense.
Let's jump back to the 5150 Junior Late Model Series real quick. I'm going to play a quick video clip. It's from an upcoming MAVTV show. Actually, I think it's a highlight reel Matt put together, but it's a couple pieces. It involves your first win. So I want you to watch this, and then we'll talk about it on the backside.
Driver profile.
Smith is already starting to pull away. You can feel it. And Armtrout's doing all he can to stay right there. This is good stuff here at Madera.
No truer words spoken from my race announcer, co-announcer here, Stephen Blakeslee, and what happened. And flaggy, Frank.
Here we go.
And Armtrout got to the inside. There may be a tire problem on the 11 car, Stephen Blakeslee, because that car got very sideways on the start. And I've noticed it was getting very sideways.
Side by
Look
side
at this
they
out
go.
of the turn this time.
New leader, lap
Yes.
57 is Brody Armtrout with 13 to go. He takes it. 2 to go at the line for this guy, your leader, the bully, Brody Armtrout, in car 29 from Smartsville, California. That's the Grass Valley, Nevada City area. The home of great racers like Alexander Rossi and Brad Sweet, some of the best in the world. And maybe Armtrout might be inching his way towards that kind of glory as he sees a white flag here at Madera Speedway. One more 5150 lap to go.
Yes, he does. Brody Armtrout now storms down the back section of Madera Speedway looking for his first win in the Junior Late Model Series, and he will get it tonight as he comes out of turn 4. He is now a 5150 Junior Late Model winner at Madera Speedway.
Well, a driver that comes from the gold country full of famous race car drivers adds his name to the list. Brody Armtrout, his first 5150 Junior Late Model win. And Brody, what does it mean to you to be down here in Victory Lane after years of racing at Madera?
Man, it means the world to me. After 2.5 seasons, we finally get our first win. Thanks to Sierra Speed, they hooked us up with a great race car. This thing is an absolute rocket. I'm really glad to be here, and this won't be our last.
And you must be looking forward to the rest of the season with what you showed tonight.
Definitely. Our times are getting faster, we're getting better, and I feel like we're really going to have something here.
So, first of all, tell me what do you think after you watch something like that?
In the moment, it's kind of hard to see and reflect back, but after seeing that, it shows more emotion than I was able to see or feel that at that moment of just relief after all those hard times and just trying to get faster and keep up with everybody to try to just stay in the groove. And then we finally get that first win. It's really relieving.
So relief is probably the word you would use the most for that first victory?
Definitely.
What word would you describe your second victory?
I would say self-confidence.
Okay, that's a good phrase for that because it definitely shows where you're at right now. So with that, tell me a little bit about the sponsors that currently help you. Your program has continued to come forward. Very small team. For the most part, it's just Roger, yourself, and your dad that we see down there, family operation. Tell me about the sponsors that help you right now.
So currently we have Cosculus Heating and Air, Diamond Trust. We have CRF Fabrications and Mom, Dad, of course. And just a really great family around us. Roger Bracken, he's always there helping us out. And it's definitely been a challenge, but we've been able to make it work.
So if you had the ideal sponsor, any sponsor you could pick, what would your car look like right now? What would be wrapped all around you with your fire suit in the car? What sponsor would you have?
Oh, currently I'd really like Toyota to sponsor our car. That would be a dream come true because they are really big in the racing world, and they also look at younger drivers, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah, they have a great development program. Who's your favorite Cup driver?
My favorite Cup driver is Kyle Larson because I've seen him come from the racetracks that I've raced at and make it to NASCAR.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Also, with your background, you're really paralleling. You're on the same track, the same path that Kyle was on. Probably Kyle, perhaps one of the best talents ever in the country. Who's your least favorite Cup driver?
I would say Casey Kane, not because he's not my favorite, but just for the main fact that he left the sport when I was just getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really started to find his lines and his way of racing really interesting. So I started looking at him as soon as he got out of the sport.
Who would be the Cup driver that you would model yourself the most after, or you would want to be the most like? Which Cup driver?
I would say Denny Hamlin. He has a really extensive racing career, and he's been racing for quite a while, and he's kept up with everybody, and he still proves to be a really good competitor.
Now, I was on the phone earlier today with one of our big sponsors, Mission Foods, and they're very active with IndyCar and then have friends in F1. And so I like to ask this question of our young drivers at the track. For you, the perfect pathway, you can have an IndyCar career or you can have a NASCAR career. You end up winning the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500. Which path do you pick?
I would pick NASCAR because it's just been a dream of mine to be there, and just the community that surrounds it, just getting up on a Sunday or whenever the race is and just sitting there watching the race or being there, it's really cool. And just to be surrounded by a group of people that you have interest with, it can make friends really fast.
Okay, so you're 16. Lots of people here on the message boards in front of me on each of these. Everyone's wishing you happy birthday, 16th birthday.
Thank you, guys.
Let's jump forward. Let's say you're 23 years old and you're on the pole of the Daytona 500. Who are you driving for and what sponsors on board your car?
If we don't end up with either Toyota, I'd go with Hendrick and Chevy just because they have a great team as well as Toyota. And yeah.
Who would be the sponsor if you could pick any sponsor you want? Let's say one that's out there right now. Which sponsor would you want that's in Cup right now?
I would go with Bass Pro Shop.
Boy, you took the words out of my mouth. I just want the free gift card to go through that place. That'd save me enough money I could go racing. So,
a dream of mine is to jump in the big old fish tank they have.
Yeah, I'd like to sneak a fishing rod into that fish tank. Probably the one thing as an old guy I get arrested for is fishing inside the Bass Pro. You break in, you're not trying to steal anything, you're just trying to fish in the place. I'm sure Davey Munoz is out there. He'd probably help me with that. But something else that I like to ask, and it's really come as I'm out scouting and I'm working with a lot of the younger drivers, especially with your background. You've got a driver that comes from the 250s and the 600s, the micro scene. What would be your biggest piece of advice that you could give that new driver? Say I've got a new 13-year-old coming in, which we actually have a couple. What would be your advice to help them? What's the transition going to be? What advice could you give them that would help them with their 5150 junior racing?
My number one, ultimate thing I could say to them would be stay patient because in dirt, it's very fast-paced. You get there, and then you're right off to racing. And it's a big change to go from just get there, from one day, have the race over, to having a practice day and all these slow components of racing would be really intense for new coming drivers, as it was for me. So just stay calm, and your day will come.
What the basically last question for the interview? We've got just covered about every base here. What do you see the pathway to Daytona? We talked about Daytona. Is it from the Pro Late Model Series, really tough competition, the Pro Late Model ranks, up to ARCA? It seems to be the pathway mostly I hear from the parents are Pro Late Model Racing, ARCA Racing, trucks, and then upward. Have you guys had that conversation? Obviously, with Roger's background, he's a wonderful guide for you that way. Kind of where do you see the pathway up to Cup and ultimately ending up in Daytona?
So I would love to go through the Pro Late Model Series and then go to ARCA, K&N, and then to trucks, and then to Xfinity, and then NASCAR, because we have Roger on our side. He's gone through ARCA races. He knows the ropes of that, so he'd be a huge help.
Okay, let's hit one fan question before we take off here. If you make it to Cup, if you're all the way up the top, do you see yourself running dirt, kind of like Kyle Larson does? Would you like to run in Cup and dirt, or would you be more of just like Kurt Busch, good friend of mine, traditional with just staying with the Cup car, or would you do both?
It'd be great to get more experience. Definitely seeing how Kyle Larson stays consistent. It would be fun to try it and see if it works out, and if it stuck, it would be awesome to go to dirt races and all these other events to expand my knowledge with racing and get a better feel for different cars and figure out different things. And it would just be really cool to get new experiences.
Would you like to see Kyle Larson run the Indy 500 and the 600, the Coke 600 in the same weekend like Kurt Busch and others have done? Tony Stewart, would you like to see that?
Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's one of Larson's big things is going to Indy cars, and it would be really cool to see him do that because we know he has a skill set with NASCAR, and I want to see how he can do in Indy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of curiosity there, and I think he could do rather well. And Kurt, for example, I think he ran 4th at Indy in the Indy 500, the only time he ran as a rookie. Really impressive. Great car, obviously, but I'd like to see what Kyle Larson does as well. Anything we haven't covered that you would like to add to this? Anything you'd like to throw in before we sign off here?
I want to thank Hollis Thackeray and, I almost said his last name before his first name, Blaine Myers. They've been around and just helped us out a lot, including Mike Juarez and Jay. Basically, all my dad's friends and friend group, they've always been there for us, and they've always really helped us out, including all of our sponsors, Diamond Trust, Cost You Less Heating and Air, Crazy for Yogurt, Fiddler on the Roof, Everlast Roofing. They've always been there for us, and those were my main sponsors throughout my entire career, and they've stuck with us to this point. And it's just really great to see them and how they've coped with us and basically build a huge family. And it's really cool to see that a group of people can really bond over a simple thing like racing.
Yeah, I've always said families that race together stay together, and racing family's bigger than just blood family. And it's such a wonderful group. The other thing that's wonderful is watching you kids progress, and congratulations on your victories. You're just a handful of points out of the lead. Let's look at Steven's stats here. You probably could, you're 13 points out of the lead. What do you see in round number 8 coming up, heading off before the big round number 9, the championship? What's your goals for round number 8 this Saturday?
Round number 8 is going to be really intense. Like you said, we see a bunch of leaderboard changes. So our main hope is that we can stay consistent and come home with a clean car with minimal damage and have a good night all around, and hopefully we'll gain some more points.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us this evening. I look forward to having the guys edit the rest of the piece, giving credit Matt, our ace editor here. He'll have this something pretty special for you so we can show off to all the fans nationwide for you in the 5150 Junior Late Model Series, your driver documentary. So, again, fans, Brody Armtrout, we can't wait to see you this weekend. Fans can tune in live on Short Track TV and watch Brody and his championship hunt, fighting with Jacob Smith, 13 points ahead of him, Barrett Pohemus, 26 points out of the lead, so 13 behind Brody Armtrout, and then Ethan Nascimento just 34 back behind Jacob Smith. So, happy birthday, young man. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll see you at the racetrack on Friday night this week. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
All right, race fans, that was Brody Armtrout. He's just a few points out of the Junior Late Model Championship, 13, as I mentioned, so I think that will be a pretty interesting championship battle as we see it go down to the wire. Round number 8 this Saturday night. Then we have round number 9, championship night, October 2nd, the big nut-up short track shootout and the 5150 and Frank's Radio 5150 event with all that bonus money on the line, a $1,000 bonus to the top 5 in the juniors finishing order, $750 bonus from 6th through 10th, $500 bonus 11th through 15, and so on. So that'll be really interesting. Before we sign off here and head out, again, the heart and soul of this show is to do the interviews that we produce for MAVTV, and you saw the Barrett Pohemus interview earlier. This interview will end up being about 2.5 to 3 minutes long. That'll make it to MAVTV. So we just thought, why not put it on here and broadcast it for all of our fans and Brody's fans and the drivers to get them more exposure while we're doing all this work that we've done the last few years for the kids anyway, let you guys see. So certainly on the YouTube, on our Short Track TV, I want to hop over here. Make sure you hit the like button. A lot of people watch it after this, so even as you're watching this recording, if you would, hit the like and subscribe. That helps us out. And we provide the live streams from the track for free. And we do that because of our big 3, Mission Foods, 5150, and Nut Up. So make sure you support the brands that support our sport. So let's get, we're going to jump ahead here And track tips and tricks. We'll start with this week. I had a car builder sent this to me. So I'm going to put this up and we'll talk about it. The tip this week is seatbelt installation. He wanted to talk about how one of the things that he sees a lot is the seatbelts mounted too low in the back. So if you see that where it says wrong with the arrow, picture the seat being right behind that driver, and that whole seat, everything can bend forward. So the right way to do it, as it says in that upper right-hand side, shoulder strap mounted on shoulder level or 10 centimeters below for the best protection. So if you get it too far down, it creates a pendulum effect. And he wanted me to encourage every single person, wherever you're at, anywhere in the country, take a good look at how your seat is mounted and how your seat belts are mounted. Hop on YouTube. There's a lot of great videos on how-to that different car manufacturers have put out. If you've got any questions, email me, and then I'll put you in touch with the individual that sent this to us. So, again, we appreciate everyone joining us this evening. We'll do this every Wednesday night, have a little bit of fun. Next week, it is, let's look at the list here, Jaden Walbridge next week, and the week after will be Jeffrey Erickson on the lineup for the next 2 Wednesdays for the Behind the Wheel. So, again, we appreciate everyone being here. Let's jump over real quick and just say goodbye. Linda, great show. Thank you. Brian Brown, great show. Again, what we're doing, Brian, is, as you know, we work really hard for all of our drivers, and especially our junior drivers. We're very passionate about the youth in the sport, and got some exciting announcements coming up for October, some new youth coming out from back east. You'll see some quite a junior late model race this coming weekend at Madera. So we're very passionate about that. We're just trying to get as much exposure as possible. Davey Munoz, thank you for jumping in. Bobby Strickland, good luck, my grandson, Brody Armtrout, and happy birthday. Jeff, one of our old cameramen, good show, and good seeing you, Jeff. Frank, I see Frank and Marty on there. Frank, I hope you're training. Boy, CK looked pretty good in that video from, I think he's paying off our editors here, but we look forward to a lot of fun there. So a whole bunch of fun, and we really look forward to round number 8 this Saturday, just good old Saturday night short track racing. If you can make it to Madera Speedway, please come out. 6 o'clock main events will start, opening ceremony. If you can't make it, hit Short Track TV and just support the brands that support our sport. Those are people that help us put that on there for free. So we'll see you next Wednesday night here on the Inside Draft, where you get the inside scoop on the race car drivers, and the race car drivers get some inside information, especially this winter, the upcoming marketing seminar, sponsorship seminars coming. So we'll see you Wednesday night here at 6 o'clock next week, and then this Saturday night, whether you're at the track, we go live 6 o'clock on Short Track TV, so we hope to see you there or at the track in person. So we'll catch you next week or this Saturday. Have a good night.